good afternoon, and welcome. I'm Christina Calderwood, and I am a project manager and instructional designer at Innovative Learning Group here in Troy, Michigan. And today we are going to talk about your artificial intern using AI to streamline design and development. Before we get started, I want to introduce Walter. Walter will be our technical producer. He'll keep everything running smoothly while simultaneously managing the chat. Some of you have noticed you are on mute, so go ahead and communicate there via chat. If you have anything to say, definitely please pipe in, help each other out. And if you have any questions, you can ask Walter there in the chat. All right, so before we get started, just a little bit about Innovative Learning Group, or ILG, for those of you who may not know us. So we are a performance-first learning company and have been in business for 21 years. I know I met some of you at our big party last year for our 20th anniversary. We were founded in 2004 by our owner and CEO, Lisa Tunegas. And we're a certified women's business enterprise. We have more than 250 clients across 35 industries all around the world. So hello and welcome to all of you. I see some clients in our chat, so that's wonderful. Before we get started, like I said, use that chat. If you have any questions, please pipe in. I will try and keep my eye on the chat, and Walter will be keeping an eye on it as well. And then after the session, you will receive a survey, and you know that feedback is a gift, and I would love to hear any feedback that you have. Please let me know what you liked, what you'd like to see more of, how I can improve for next time, because again, feedback is a gift. And we are recording this session, so early next week, you'll receive a YouTube link along with the slide deck. So no need to frantically scrabble down any notes that you see on the screen. You will receive those in your email. So let's get started here. Welcome again. I am Christina Calderwood. I am a project manager and instructional designer here at ILG. And like most of the graphics in this presentation, AI created this picture, and that is supposed to be of me. I don't know, what do you think? Is it a good likeness? Not too bad if I were only 13 years old, but I think AI knows a secret about me, and that is my birthday is on leap day. So technically I am only 13 years old. So there you go. I got started using AI just doing a project for a client. So we had a client who came to us and asked us to do a proof of concept to see how all these new AI tools that are coming out could fit within their existing L&D process. And along with me for that ride was Matt Curtin, who's our Senior Director of Technology and Visual Design. And he's in the chat. If any of you have some super technical questions that I can't answer, Matt is in there. So he can help you out as well. So like I said, I am a project manager and an instructional designer. I am not a super techie person. So if I could learn all this stuff, you can learn it too. And I'm going to help you do that today. So you know that I am an instructional designer and we like our objectives. So by the end of this session today, you're going to be able to describe how AI tools can be integrated in the various phases of training and development, from initial design all the way through to final production. You're going to be able to apply effective prompting techniques to get the best results. And you're going to be able to explain how AI can support your instructional design process. Are you ready to go? All right. So first thing to know, the initials AI should not stand for artificial intelligence. They should stand for artificial intern. Okay, so just like a human intern, sometimes AI can be confident, even though it's wrong. It can be very helpful, especially when you give it very specific, detailed instructions. AI can be super supportive. It can help you get that project started. And that's one of the best uses, getting from that blank page to something. It can be very particular. So it is good at helping you revise content and do some editing. And it is just very useful in general to help with your quality and efficiency. So keep in mind that artificial intern and treat it as such. So those of you who are my instructional design, learning and development folks are very familiar with the ADDIE model. For those of you who aren't training folks, this is just a model that many instructional designers use to help talk about the development of training. Most of us use this, if not this exact model, something based on that. So in the chat, while you're listening, definitely put in if you have used AI tools for any of these steps within our ADDIE model. So the first step is you're going to analyze, right? You're going to analyze what you're going to train about. And you can use AI tools to help you review, research, and analyze any of your source documents. You can have it look at any kind of document, Word, PowerPoint, Excel, PDFs, emails and SharePoint or your shared drives, depending on the tool that you use. And it can even look at some websites. Now, just a little caveat there is that some websites do prevent you from using AI tools, but I have gotten around that by just simply copy pasting and going ahead and putting that like in a Word document and then uploading it to my AI tool. It'll help you create things like project plans, personas, help you write your needs analysis, develop goals. So lots of different things in that analyze phase. Now, when we get to the design phase, this is where, you know, kind of the rubber hits the road. I see in the chat that a lot of you have used it in design to create objectives, maybe some instructional strategies. You can even use it to brainstorm some visual design. You know, help with you with your design document, put together storyboards or prototypes, lots of different things it can help you with. And development, this is where we develop all of the actual things, right? The things that go in the training, the artifacts. So assessments, you can use it to help you create chatbots, e-learning, facilitator guides, scripts, videos. Voiceovers is a huge tool that lots of folks are now using AI for. So definitely will help you in the development phase. And I see again in the chat that a lot of you are using AI tools in the development phase. So good for you. All right, so into implementation. This one is a little bit less use right now, but I think it's growing in the future, definitely. So you can use AI-driven chatbots or agents to help folks reinforce their learning as part of your learning experience. There are companies out there that are building off-the-shelf coaching modules that are driven with AI tools for things like sales or leadership training. So those are out there. Course descriptions, you can have it help you write, email invitations to the actual event. All of those things AI can help you with. And then last but not least, we go through our evaluation phase. And of course, AI is pretty good at evaluating and analyzing data. So you can feed in your level 1 feedback, look at your level 2 results. You can use AI to help you create some assessment tools as well. So that's a kind of a new area there, the evaluation that folks are just starting to kind of get into. Any questions about where you can use AI tools within the whole learning and development process? We're going to actually do some of these things in just a second. So if you have any questions, go ahead and put those in the chat. And if I don't get to all the questions today, when we send out that recording, I can try and address some of those there if we don't get to. So awesome. All right, so just quick word about tools. There's a lot of them out there, right? And everybody's got a favorite one, and there's a new one released every day. And I am certainly not an expert on all of them. And I don't expect you to be either. So one caveat, and I've seen a couple of comments in the chat kind of around this, is that you should always follow your IT department's rules about what you can and cannot use. You want to be careful about any proprietary data from your company, or if you're working for a client, you definitely want to protect their data. So follow the rules, whatever IT department says. Now, don't despair if your IT department kind of shuts a lot of things down, because a lot of existing tools, that you may have access to, like Viand or Captivate or Articulate, are using AI tools within their tools. So you're still getting to use AI, it's just under the umbrella of something that you already have access to. Another thing to keep in mind is sometimes it's just like going to the grocery store. If you get the generic fruit rings, they're really Fruit Loops in disguise. And that's true also about AI tools. So for example, Microsoft Copilot uses a version of ChatGPT. In fact, it's called GPT-4 Turbo, and that's what powers Microsoft Copilot. So sometimes just because you don't have a specific thing, doesn't mean you're not also going to get access to it. So on the screen, you'll see a list of some tools that I have played around with and some of the ones that you might want to investigate as well. All right, so you've heard a lot probably about prompting, right? You've heard new job titles are even coming up, like prompt engineers, and there are college programs and all kinds of TikToks if you're watching TikTok, or YouTube videos or trainings on how to create the best prompt. There's a lot of content out there. Feel free to definitely research. This is kind of a list that I have put together of things that have helped me create good prompts, because your response is only going to be as good as your prompt, right? So I made a little acronym, CRISPs. Do we have any British folks on our chat? That's another word for potato chips that they like to use in England. So we're going to think of it as CRISPs. So you want to include in your prompt, this is how you're asking the AI tool to help you. You're going to include all of the context that you can, right? You're going to let it know what role it's playing, right? Because these AI tools, they know everything, right? They've been trained on the whole universe of human knowledge. You want to narrow that down a little bit, right? So you're going to tell it it's an experienced instructional designer, or it's a financial planner, or whatever it is, whatever role you're asking it to do, you tell it to act in that role. Tell it the knowledge that that tool should have. Again, it's been trained on the whole universe of knowledge, so you want to narrow that focus. You want to say, you're an expert in adult learning theory, or Gilbert's model, or Bloom's taxonomy, whatever it is that you want it to make sure that it knows, you tell it. Tell it the delivery method you're going to use for this training that you're developing. Tell it the level of interaction you want, the length, the audience, all of those details, all the context that you can give it will help. Basically, all the things that you're going to ask your stakeholders, right? You ask your stakeholders, then you feed that information in the AI tool. You'll also want to let it know that the tone or the writing style that you're using. AI is really good at switching tones, so you can kind of try this out for fun. You can say, rewrite this in more professional, or as a teenager might speak, or, you can change it all kinds of things. So it's kind of fun that way. You can tell it what tone. So the R in CRISP stands for the result and the format. You're going to want to tell it how you want your results and in what format. So you might say 3 to 5 objectives in a bulleted list, that kind of thing. The I stands for iterate, validate, and refine. So just like a human intern, you're going to iterate, right? You're going to go through. Your first answer is not always your best answer. You're always going to want to improve it as you go along. You're going to want to double check and validate. And you can do that right within the AI tool you're using. Or, real fun, you can put it into another AI tool and have it double check. And you're going to want to refine as you go. The S stands for the source content. So you're going to want to give it the information, right? So that's anything, information that you've gotten from subject matter experts, anything that you would research, you're going to put it right into the AI tool. You can also give it examples. You need to train your intern. This is how we do it here, right? So give it some examples of courses that you've already created just as a reference, so that they can start to see what your style is like, what your organization prefers, the way you set things up, so it can start to build that knowledge. You're going to give it focus. So this is not necessarily objectives. This is the focus. So you have your objectives for a course, but your end result is maybe you want to lower your turnover in your company, or you want to increase sales, or whatever that kind of background focus or goal is. And then you want to scaffold your tasks. That's the final S there. And again, just like a human intern, you're not going to say, go ahead and write War and Peace. I'll see you in a day. You're going to break it down into sections. So first do the research, then create your objectives. Then, so just that same process that you would create, go through with your AI tool and do it step by step and be clear and specific as you can all down that list. All right, any questions before we get started with the practice? And don't worry about trying to scribble those down real fast. We are going to send you a nice little handout where you can have all of those prompting tools right there for you. All right, so let's practice this. Let's try it. So when I was trying to think of examples to use for this webinar, I was trying to think of something that was like out in the public domain that we could do together. I could get for free. That's always good. Free is good. So what I thought of is my husband and I, we're on our third electric car now, so we're pretty knowledgeable. But when I bought my first one, the dealer employees were not very knowledgeable. And when I had questions, they weren't really able to answer it because it was a new technology. So what I did is I went to the Mopar, which is Chrysler website, and I downloaded my owner's manual. Don't make fun of my mom van. I happen to like my little minivan. She has a name. Her name is Pearl. So I downloaded the owner's manual and the quick start guide, and we're going to do this live. We're going to use some prompting techniques that we just talked about, and we're going to generate some objectives. Are you ready? Let's get going. I'm going to pull over my Copilot here. All right, so we're going to use Copilot because that's what we use here at Innovative Learning Group. And just a note about paid versions versus the free versions. I'm sorry to say this, but you're going to have to bite the bullet and buy the paid version. It's really going to give you more options, and it's going to give you some protection so that your information isn't used to train their models and it doesn't go out into the universe. So we have the paid version. I think it's like $20 a month. It's not that much. If you're a professional, I would definitely advise you to get a paid version. So some of the things may look a little bit different, again, because I have the paid version than you're used to. But you'll notice here this nice little green guy up here, this little green shield. That's telling me that the enterprise data protection is applying to this chat. So that means, again, that my data is not going to be used to train the model or be out there in the universe for anybody else to see. You see this work versus web. If I had it clicked on work, it would access everything in my internal environment. So it would use things in my shared drives here for Innovative Learning Group. It could look at my emails. It could look through all of the content on my laptop, etc. I'm going to click it on web. That means it's going to go out and search into the universe. And then looking at the bottom here, you see a couple of prompts that it already has, some sample prompts. So it is nice. There's a bunch in there. And if you click on see more, it'll list some more for you. So if you haven't gotten your feet wet yet using AI, definitely try some of these kind of canned responses out just so you can kind of see the types of things that it can do. And there's something also called Prompt Gallery, where you can kind of sort it by the task or the job type that you're trying to do. And you can save your own prompts. So if there's a prompt that you use over and over, let's say to generate objectives or to do some reviews or something, you can save your prompt so that you can access it very easily. All right, so let's get started here. And we are going to say, good afternoon, Copilot. We're building a class together. And I know some people wonder, do we have to be polite to AI? You know, our future robot overlords. You do not have to be polite. Studies show that there is no difference in response. I'm a Midwestern mom. I cannot help myself. So I do end up being polite. So it is ready, and we are going to tell it to read some documents. And I'm going to put this prompt in here and then have it look at the documents. So that's the first thing you always want to do is force it to read. So just like the kid that does the tries to do their book report only by reading the back of the book and not reading the actual whole book, AI will sometimes do that. So again, you have to tell it, read the documents. So it's going to do that for a second. And you'll see this nice little rainbow thing means that it's thinking. Think. I'll take the opportunity to take a drink while it's reading. So it's going to tell me that it has done everything there. And it's going to give me some feedback on what it read, which is great. And so this next prompt we're going to give, and remember, we're doing this kind of step by step, but we're giving it all of that context. So I'm telling it, hey, you're acting as an experienced instructional designer. You're an expert on learning theory and Bloom's taxonomy and all of those things. And I'm going to tell it about its audience. I'm going to tell it about the goal that we want people to be familiar with the vehicles, all that good stuff. I'm including the delivery method and the length and the interaction. Now, very important so you don't get annoyed, just like a human intern or child or a husband, tell it how you want it back, right? The result and the format. We're talking about the focus and then the source materials. And then I say, do you have any questions? So put in those stops to make sure you're on the same page with your AI, just like you would with an intern. So it says, thanks. And hey, it knows my name. We're on a first name basis. Yay. I've reviewed the context and thoroughly analyzed the source material. It's ready to go, but it does have a few questions. Would you like the objectives to be grouped by topic, or would you like a more integrated approach that aligns with the customer experience journey? Well, that's an interesting question. I'm just going to say I don't have a preference. That. All right. So it is interesting that I have done this prompt a few times just to get ready for today. And every time it comes back with different questions for me. So that's kind of fun. So remember when I said it doesn't make a difference whether or not you're polite? Apparently, it does make a difference if you tell it to take a short break. So see how I said, take a short coffee break and then create 3 to 5 behavioral objectives given the information that I have provided. So theoretically, scientists have told us, people who study this, is that you'll get better response if you tell it to take a break. Another thing that they have found makes a difference is if you promise to do something good or you threaten something bad. So if you say, okay, Copilot, if you do a great job, I will donate to charity, it will do a better job than if you didn't say that. Or if you say, Copilot, I'm never going to use you again, or I'm going to break something if you do a bad job, it will give you a better response. So again, Midwestern mom, I can't threaten. It's just not in me to do that. But anyway, I just thought that would be fun for you to know. All right, so here's what it comes back with. It comes back with some of our learning objectives. So, okay, my learning people, what do you think? We have explain the key components, demonstrate how to operate and explain, identify best-in-class features, illustrate the correct charging procedure, and model customer-focused behaviors. And it even includes the Bloom's levels there. So that's very interesting. What do you think? Let me know in the chat. It didn't say understand, right, Mary? Because we told it it's an instructional designer. An instructional designer knows that we don't use understand in an objective. So pseudo emotional response factor is wild. Yes, isn't it? That Kobe, measurable. Yes. So some of these are hard to measure. So let's tell it that. Let's see. I'm going to just give it some feedback. that I have seen before. So usually when I do this, it's interesting. I think it's learning from me. So like I said, I've done this 3 or 4 times just to practice for today. And usually it will give me an objective that says demonstrate. And I always come back and I say, well, how are you going to demonstrate something in a 30-minute web-based course? So I think it's learning because it didn't give that to me today. So I'm going to change this prompt and I'm going to change it to model because I don't know how you're going to model something necessarily in a web-based course. So let's see if it comes back. Because remember that prompting perfection, we're going to iterate, right? We're going to try it a few times until we get it to where we want it to be. So let's see what it says. The objectives, oh yes, it's such a good student, isn't it? All right, so it's come back with some revised learning objectives. So we have identify, describe, recognize, demonstrate, oops, failure on that one, and then select, that's better too. So, oh, it says demonstrate knowledge. See, this is reading, I have to read too. By selecting correct explanations in scenario-based interactions. So good job, Copilot. I'm laughing because somebody said, yeah, getting the feeling of cheating or plagiarism. It is a tool to help you, just like when we first got the interwebs way back when, we were only babies, right? A lot of people felt the same way then too, because we were just looking something up easily and we didn't have to go dig out the old Encyclopedia Britannica, right? It's the same sort of feeling. All right, so it did a pretty good job with the objectives. What are we going to do next? All right, let's have it try out some instructional strategies for us. So let's see if it can match some of those objectives that it came up with the right type of instructional strategy. So I'm going to pull it back up and we're going to stay in our same chat so that it's knowing what's going on. All right, so I'm going to upload a little document that I got somewhere along the line from, I think, a client that is really helpful. It's just an Excel spreadsheet that's got different instructional techniques on it, and it matches it up to the Bloom's taxonomy and gives examples. And I'm going to say, hey, AI, little artificial intern, read this document on instructional strategies. So it's going to go through and read that. And then I'm going to ask it to revise the objectives if need be, and then list an appropriate instructional strategy for each objective. So I'm going to go ahead and put that prompt in there for us. All right, so please revise objectives if needed and list an appropriate instructional strategy. So that's on there, and it's going to think through and see what it comes up with. All right. Okay, it's told me back what it's doing. It's making sure we're measurable and achievable, aligned with Bloom's, and paired with the appropriate instructional strategy. So here's what it's calling our final learning objectives. So it's identify key features. So it's listing the Bloom's level and it's using facts, matching, and repetition, which I think matches up pretty well. Describing Bloom's level, understand. So it's using the newer Bloom's level. I'm old school, so I like the older ones, but it's okay. So it's using demonstrations, metaphors, and multiple choice. So see, it's done a pretty good job there. So I think that's all we need to do. I don't think we have to tell it to go back and do more. Any questions about using AI to practice instructional strategies? To come up with instructional strategies. Some of you may be doing that just instinctively and you don't make it a separate task, but you can definitely use AI. So let's keep going, right? We've got a good thing going. Let's come up with our content outline or design, and we want to include our objectives that we already have, our instructional strategies, which we already have, and we're going to ask it to also include maybe some graphic treatment suggestions and the content that we're going to actually create. So let's bring our Copilot back here. All right, and remember what I said about telling it to take a break? It does a better job. So we're going to do that. And we're going to say, take a little break and then create an outline that includes the objectives, instructional strategies, graphic treatment. And I do tell it we're going to be creating this class in Articulate Storyline, so it should know what types of interactions you can create within Articulate Storyline. All right. And it says, thanks for the break suggestion. It's refreshed. Oh, I'm so glad, Copilot. I wonder what it does when it's taking a break. I don't know. But here it is, complete with cute little icons. It's broken it down. It's got our Gagne's 9 events. So we've got our 9 events listed and how it's going to do those things. Very nice. Does a pretty good job there. I don't know if I could really call this a shocker, but anyway, it does a pretty decent job. And then we have our learning objectives and instructional strategies. We have our first objective. We have our strategies. We have the content that it's going to cover. And we have graphic treatment suggestions. So it's suggesting icons with rollover pop-ups, comparison chart animations, and then some interaction suggestions. So drag and drops, click to reveals. So it does a pretty good job there. And I'm just going to just briefly kind of scroll. We won't go into each one separately. But I think it did a nice job there. Let's see, but one thing it forgot. Okay, it's got a wrap up, it's got a summary screen, but it doesn't necessarily have an intro. So I'm going to say, please include an introduction. How about that? Oops, and I spelled it wrong. And just so you know, spelling errors, it's usually pretty okay with figuring out what you meant. So don't worry if you are a fast typist like me and you go a little too fast sometimes. It's okay, it's got you. All right, so there we go. Now we've got our instruction and oh, it decided to just throw in the voiceover, the narrative right there. Okay, and then it got lazy and just said, as previously outlined, see prior message. You can ask it to list it all at once and it will do that, but it's saving computing, energy. So that's a good thing, right? Because we know that AI uses a lot of resources. So we're trying to be mindful. All right, pretty good job. What questions do you have about creating an outline? Anything? Throw it in the chat. Well, I don't see anything yet, but if you think of something, let me know. But let's try and move on to the actual content generation and scripting. So let's see what it can do there. And again, it's going to be a good start, but you want to use your critical thinking because you can see how awesome and fast this is. And it looks really good, right? You're like, oh my gosh, look at this. But if you noticed, if you looked at it with a very clear eye, like let's say you're an editor and you're looking at this, it's very shallow, right? That depth isn't super deep. So you're going to want to continue to prompt to get that depth, or you're going to want to create that yourself. You're also going to want to be very careful to make sure that that content is not repetitive, that it's learner focused, right? That we're putting things in an order that our learners need in order to master that content. So don't just let your brain go on autopilot and just accept things as it is. So I know those of you who are instructional designers, I'm sure you've had this experience where a subject matter expert comes to you and says, look, I've created a whole training and it's like 100-slide PowerPoint, right? And it's got like the history of everything related to it. It's so detailed, unnecessarily so. It's maybe repetitive. It's not just oh, you have to clean it up and make it look nice. It really does need to go back to the drawing board, outline that content, make sure it's in an orderly fashion, and only focused on the skill that your learners need. So AI doesn't know what to do with that, and it will make it pretty, but it doesn't necessarily do as good of a job as you with all of your education and experience. Don't forget that. Make sure you're applying it. Okay, so what's it come back with? It's got our storyboard. I like the cute little clapboard icon. And it's got our element. It's got a voiceover. It's got on-screen text, it's got visuals, it's got all of the things that we asked it to do, including some developer notes. That's kind of cute. Use subtle motion graphics, hover states. So it's doing a pretty good job there. Static slide with animated objects. So it's got a voiceover, it's got some on-screen text, and it's got some visuals, facts and repetition. So again, this is just an outline. If I were to build this course, how long do you think it would be? Probably only like 2 or 3 minutes, right? That's obviously not enough. So I would have to build this out. And the way you would do that, again, is to scaffold that. You'd first want to, start building out that first objective. And you'd get that into a place you wanted, and then your next one. So you're going to want to do it one step at a time. And if you're not getting what you want, so you've prompted, you've reiterated, at a certain point, there's the diminishing returns, right? Like you just keep prompting and you're not getting the answer. Sometimes, just like with a regular intern, it's better just to take over and finish that task yourself. So it's great, gets you from blank page to something, and then you can continue to build it out. All right, so what questions do you have about Copilot or any of the things that we have worked on so far? Got any good questions? All right, are you overwhelmed a little bit? You think you can do this? All right. Certain models, and then certain models do something. How do you know the intro script wasn't just taken from the owner's manual? Well, first of all, you could look, right? Definitely bounce it off. But just looking at it, it doesn't look like the type of thing that would come straight from the owner's manual. So using AI as learning how to Google again, you're right, Brian, it is very similar. You know how some people are really good at getting information from Google or any other search engine, and others aren't? It's the same type of thing. It's learning how to ask those questions. So definitely. In terms of, whether or not it's stealing from something. So we gave it something to refer to here. If you're asking for more generic information, like research this and come back with something, it will usually annotate it. So you'll see like a little number and a button, and you can click on that and it'll take you to the place where it found that information. And it's always a good idea to double check, because I have had it lie to me. Just like those kids that fake the book report, every once in a while it'll say, oh, I found this on XYZ website, and you click on XYZ website and there's nothing on there that matches what that content is. So yes, always trust but verify, right? Okay, all right. Do I prefer Copilot over ChatGPT? I don't necessarily have a preference. I'm pretty agnostic, and my company uses Copilot, so that's what I use. I listen to Matt tells me what to do, and I'm not gonna go out there and cheat and use ChatGPT because I don't have a paid version, so my data wouldn't be safe. So I know a lot of people have different preferences, and some tools are good for some things and some tools are good for other things. It's just kind of what you tend to like. So far I'm pretty happy with Copilot. Claude is another nice one that you don't always hear about in the news. So check that one out if you'd like to before you end up buying a subscription, and see what you like to use. All right, so how many of you use Rise? I bet a lot of you, or your company uses Rise. Maybe you're an instructional designer and you have a separate team that's developing in Rise. But I use Rise and the folks here use it. I see some hands. Awesome. So Rise has a really amazing AI tool, and just like everything else, it costs a little more, but that's okay. So definitely, you might want to pay for this. And it has a nice little questionnaire. So if any of you have used TurboTax or a similar program to do your taxes, it's very similar, where it will ask you some questions and then it will start to build your content for you. And you can use it in conjunction with other AI tools like Copilot. So let's say you've created objectives in Copilot and now you want to go ahead and come in here and finish that out. you can do that. So let's check it out. I'm going to drag it over here. All right, so here we go. We're in Rise, and I'm going to create a new course, and I'm going to start with AI. And I got sick of the car thing, so it is the height of summer. What do we like to do in the summer? We like to spend time outside and build a garden. So let's build some training on creating a rain garden. Okay, so I downloaded some content from some, I think it was like Wisconsin or Michigan Extension. And I have a target audience, and it's just homeowners. We're not talking horticultural experts here. I don't have any learning objectives that I thought of ahead of time. You could do that and then put those in there. And then I'm going to drag and drop this information in here. I've just got a few, one of which I just copy pasted from a website and then put in a Word document, so you can do that. And we're going to put that all in there. And then it's going to load it in. And in just a second, we'll hit continue. And then we'll go ahead and it will create an outline for us, which is amazing, just based on these little PDFs that I'm adding. And you'll see it's going to create an outline for your course. And again, this is where you're going to want to use that experienced instructional designer hat. Don't just like roll over and let AI do all the work for you, because you're better than AI. This is just an intern. So you're going to want to look and make sure like you're not repeating anything. It's in the correct order. You want to be the advocate for your learners. You want to be that voice of the learner here and make sure that you are using the correct information. So it's come back with a 5-lesson outline: why rain gardens matter, choosing the right location, sizing and designing. So this is where the experienced instructional designer kicks in, and I say, isn't choosing the right location the same as designing? I don't know. Same thing with selecting plants, but I'm just going to leave it as is for now, just for the sake of argument for our program here. But you can come back and tell it to revise something, like removing a lesson, reorder it, whatever. But we're just going to keep going in the interest of time here. And we're going to go ahead and see what happens. So you can see it was very fast, just like that. And it came back with a nice little outline here at the top. A little introductory paragraph, and we're going to add some content. We're going to add that lesson. We're going to say AI block, and it gives you some suggested topics based on our course outline. So let's talk about the environmental benefits of rain gardens. And it's going to say, what kind of thing do you want? I'm going to say I want a paragraph about that. All right, so Sarah's a gardener, so where can I take this course? You're going to take it today, Sarah. We're going to learn all about rain gardens. But you see how it comes back with 2 paragraphs there, and it talks about preventing pollutants and aquatic ecosystems. So we talk about biodiversity. That kind of sciencey. So maybe we want to make it, can this be simpler and use easier words? I could say adjust to a reading level of 6th grade or something like that, but you can give it feedback like that. And you see that it came back with, so it says rain garden can help keep water clean. So instead of saying improving water quality, whatever you want it to do, it can do for you. So let's say we're going to insert this like this is. There it is. And let's say you look at it and you're like, oh, I kind of want this to be more interactive. Maybe I can make this an accordion. So you see it'll instantly convert it. That was one of the most annoying things about Rise in the past, is if you wanted to change format, you had to like copy paste or retype everything. Now it will do it for you, and it will even adjust it. See, this is the same content, but it built it out a little more to fit that type of interaction. So, I mean, it's an amazing tool there. The requested references can be hallucinations. Yes, it can be, like I talked about where it lied. Let's just look real quickly about the images so let's ask it to make a rain garden image. So You can choose a style if you'd like. We're not going to in this instance. We're just going to go ahead and generate an image. So do I have any graphic designers on the call? Any hands up? I haven't seen any hands, but your graphic designer is going to do a much better job than the AI tools at this point. I mean, here we go. We see an example here, and it's actually a pretty good one. You see like some rocks and some wetness there. So yeah, I would count that as a win, and I would probably use it. One that I did earlier that it created is we have like this random pipe coming out of nowhere and water coming from, I don't know, Ghostland, another galaxy. I don't know where the water's coming from, but it's odd. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You know, your results may vary, as the saying goes. So that's Rise. Rise has great AI tools. Now, Storyline 360, not as robust in some ways as Rise. There's no questionnaire. Sometimes the sound effects that it creates aren't the best. And the image tools, as you can see with some of these pictures, like we have our random floating baby head here up in the top left, and then our headless instructor. So maybe we should put the baby head on the instructor. I'm not sure what's going on there. Or the salesperson who's sitting on the lap of the customer. I love that. And squeezing the baby's head. So yeah, the graphics aren't so great, but it is good for simple things. Like let's say you're in a beta with a client or stakeholders and they say, oh, change the tone of this. This sounds too stuffy. We want to make it more friendly. You can do that very quickly in Storyline. And the text to voice is amazing. In fact, for most of our clients, they've asked us to just go ahead and use the articulate tools rather than using a third-party AI tool. So it is getting better and better. There's over 1,000 voices at this point. So you should definitely check that out. And again, like most everything, that costs a little more. So you're going to want to pay a little bit more for those voices. All right, so one of the coolest whiz-bang AI tools that I've seen is Google Notebook. If you have a student in your life, like I do, a college student in my case, but a high school student or anybody who's studying something, check out Google Notebook LM. It's a free tool. You can upload your course notes, textbooks, recordings, anything, and it will help you study. It'll come up with flashcards for you. It'll come up with study guides, all kinds of cool stuff. And it will even generate a podcast for you. So all I did here was upload those same documents about the rain gardens. And I said, create a podcast. And it created an 11-minute podcast. I didn't do scripts or anything like that. And I'm going to just play about 20, 30 seconds of this so you can hear it. So.
You know that sound of rain, maybe hitting the window? It smells great, brings life to everything. It's just essential.
Absolutely. We love it.
But then you think about it hitting your roof or the driveway, or, huge parking lots. Where does all that water go?
Right. Instead of soaking in, it just runs off.
And it often carries, gunk, right, straight into our rivers and lakes. That's a real environmental headache.
It really is. But there's actually a pretty cool solution. Simple, even beautiful. It's called a rain garden.
Exactly. And that's what we're digging into today. We've got some fantastic insights here from the University of Wisconsin Extension and also Michigan State University Extension.
A great resource.
Yeah. So
all right, I'm going to stop it there, but isn't that just amazing? Like you could pay me $100 and I would not be able to pick those voices out as AI voices. They sound so real. And it's a great way. You can download that as a MP3 file. You can give it to your learners as maybe a refresher or as like something to listen to on your way into work or something. It's just a really amazing tool. Now, not to be outdone, Copilot has come up with a similar tool, but as you'll see, it's not quite ready for prime time. So it's only available within the Copilot tool. You cannot download it. And I'm going to have you listen to just a few seconds here. And you're going to have to take my word for it because it's deciding not to play nicely today. Can somebody tell me in the chat if you're hearing it? Because I am not hearing it. All right. Okay, I don't think it's playing. Okay, well, you're gonna have to take my word for it because it reminds me of that Saturday Night Live skit where we have the pretty ladies singing and it's I'm Janet, I'm Holly, and then the last one, Dunice. That's kind of what Copilot is. The voices are funny. It does have like weird places where it pauses and the voices aren't quite right. And I did a demonstration for a client who's a veterinary client, and it was a very serious topic. It was avian influenza in cats, which actually is fatal for the cats. And Copilot kept throwing in weird laughs in the middle of the content. That was not funny at all. But like anything else, these tools are improving every single day. So just because it wasn't great today doesn't mean it won't be better tomorrow. So always check back, always see what is out there. So just as we're wrapping things up today, the bottom line is that AI should not stand for artificial intelligence. It should stand for artificial intern, and you're going to treat it as such. You are the expert. You're the one who has spent a lifetime, developing your instructional design skills, and you are supervising this intern who is going to help you out within your existing process. It's going to help you improve your efficiency and quality. Make sure you're always thinking critically because AI content can look really good at first glance, but you're going to want to dig in and make sure that you are the voice of your customer. All right, so any questions? Go ahead and type in the chat. If you have any questions, I can answer. And while you're typing those questions in there, if you have any, my contact information is there on the screen along with another AI-generated picture of me. My phone number's there and my email, and I want to hear what you're doing. Tell me what went well. Tell me about your experiences. Let me know if you have any questions. I want to hear back from you. And then if you need any other information, I have a blog on our library. We have lots of blogs and webinars in our ILG library, and you can check those out as well. Yes, a recording is definitely coming out. You will get that sometime next week. We'll get that together and edited for you, as long as the slides and your little gift with purchase, non-purchase because it was free today, but that little sheet that tells you the prompting perfection, so all the different things. Diane, I don't have any scheduled class offering, but if you perhaps want me to come in and do that for your company or whatever, that's something we can definitely talk about. But again, this recording will be on our website, so you'll be able to access it at any time, and we'll send that to you as well.
We had a question from earlier. Does Copilot create slides or documents for you or graphic images?
Does Copilot create the actual slides? Yes, it can. And if you have the paid version of Copilot, you can use it right within Word or PowerPoint. Now, just a caveat about that, when you're in PowerPoint or Word, you'll see that in there. It won't save that prompt for you so that you can go back and access it, but it'll help you when you're within that tool. So I tend to use them both. It does create it. It doesn't do a great job yet, but again, it gets you from that blank screen to something. And you can also download your stuff from Copilot. You can say, create a downloadable document. So for example, like our storyboard, we could have downloaded that and then opened it in Word and been able to manipulate it there in Word as well. There was a question earlier about do certain AI models do a better job with specific tasks? There are, of course, different tools like ChatGPT, Copilot, Claude, Perplexity, Grok. There's lots of them out there, but I think it's just like, some people like Chrome, some people like Edge. It's kind of what you get used to. Certainly there are some tools that are out there better, but I haven't seen a wide variety. It is fun to play with the same prompt in different tools to see what responses you get, and sometimes it changes. So again, only use what your IT team tells you is okay. So do certain tools work better with Google, like Google Slides versus MS PowerPoint? Again, I haven't seen that. Google has Gemini, which is their what's called a LLM. large language model, which is what Copilot or ChatGPT is. So you could certainly try it out to see if you get a better result out of Gemini. But I haven't noticed a difference, honestly. Another thing I wanted to mention, and I think I mentioned it before, but we here at Innovative Learning Group, we only use AI tools when our clients request us to do so, or we have already told them that we're using it and they say, okay. So that's definitely something you want to be upfront with always, and make sure your client is okay and that you do have a safe way to use any proprietary data. You don't want anything getting out in the universe that doesn't need to be out there. So good point. Any other questions? Yes, Sarah, turn it on within Office 365, definitely. Do you have to pay extra for the voiceover tool in Articulate? Of course you do. Articulate needs the money, don't you know? Yes, that does have an additional cost, and there's even a way in there to do translations. That's a cost up above the voiceover tool. So yes, there are different costs, and you can check out on the Articulate page or Captivate or whatever tool you use to enable that. Yeah. Good question, Edward. Thank you. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining today. Great questions. Thank you for participating, being such good participants. I'm so excited to see what you come up with. Definitely, please send me some examples. Let me know how it's going. And if any of you are intimidated by this, just remember, if I can learn it, you can learn it. Again, not techie person at all. It's something you definitely, it's an easy way to do it. So if at first you don't succeed, keep trying, keep practicing, doing something like the example with the rain gardens, or download your owner's manual to your car or to, your refrigerator or whatever. See what you can create. All right. Well, thank you all so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day.